I want to talk to you about a concept called product cannibalization. In a previous video, we calculated the cash flows for a project. The initial cash flow was minus 51 million. The intermediate operating cash flows were 6,385,000, and the terminal cash flow was 10,385,000. Let's say that this is a project for Coke Zero. So we've determined that if we decide to produce this new product never heard before called Coke Zero, this is where our cash flows would be. But do we want to have the total cash flows? Because if I'm Coca-Cola, I'm not interested in people who were drinking Coke and they switched to Coke Zero. That's not who I'm after. Or the ones that are drinking Diet Coke. I'm after the people that are drinking Pepsi or Diet Pepsi or who aren't drinking colas at all. I'm only interested in new customers. So my incremental cash flow is driven by my new customers. Let's say that 90% of the people who buy Coke Zero are new customers, 10% used to drink Coke or Diet Coke. How will that change this problem? Well, my revenues, assuming the cost to buy Coke are the same, my revenues are just 90% of that. So I'm not really making $16,500,000. I'm really only increasing my revenue by $14,850,000. That's big. I want to make sure you get that. The $16,500,000 is the total cash flow for selling Coke Zero, but because 10% of those people were buying Coke already, my new cash flow, my incremental cash flow is $14,850,000. What about costs? This is going to be confusing in the real world. It's important to read what the problem says about the assumptions that you have to make. If it costs me the same to make a can of Coke as it does to make Coke Zero, I multiply this by 90% as well. That's the easiest assumption to make. It's an intro class, so we'll kind of look at it that way. So we subtract off 90% of the cost. The depreciation is going to stay the same because I've bought the equipment in order to do this. This is no change here. It doesn't matter how many people are actually using it. This depreciation number comes from the equipment that I had to buy to do this project. So now my cash flow is going to be $5,817,500, and then I should say my taxable income. So now I take the taxes out of that. 40% of this number will be my taxes, which is $2,327,000, right? Because I'm still going to. The reason my taxes are different is this is the money that I would make in total, but 10% of that are people who used to drink Coke. So the difference in this tax number comes from the people who, I'm only looking at the taxes I would have to pay because of the new Coke Zero drinkers, not the taxes I would have to pay because of the guys that used to drink Coke. Now, that wasn't too clear, but I'm going to keep going. I think you can understand that. So the difference there, $3,490,500. Add my depreciation back, $2,350,000. That comes out to be $5,840,500. So this is really $5,840,500. So this is really $9,840,500. So when I'm doing the net present value or the internal rate of return, my cash flows is minus 51 million today, this 5.8 million in years 1 through 19, this 9.8 million in year 20, and you'll see if I actually used the bigger numbers without adjusting for this cannibalization, I would have my net present value and internal rate of return too high. I would potentially do a project that I shouldn't do. So you have to watch out for that.